All right, well, it's Saturday afternoon in the bicycle shop. I've got Alana and I've got Pete in here, and of course we're dying to go ride bikes. I saw a lot of people riding bikes when I was driving to work today. I saw a lot of people go by. We've been fairly slow in the shop for being spring, and it's 70 degrees out, it's sunny. So hopefully everybody's out doing something, but you know, I was going over some of the numbers of the shop. I was telling Alana, you know, we're down 40% from last year's numbers this month. So, you know, if you guys are worried about the bicycle industry, there's probably a reason why you should be. I know some of the numbers came out from Giant, some of the other bigger manufacturers. Giant was down 60% in their profitability. So that means they're not down 6% as a whole, but in profits they are. So that means they're probably selling things at a discount. Well, I know they are. Everything's at a discount right now. So I had some friends ask me, hey Bart, when are bike prices are gonna go down? They can't go down any further. They're already below, most of what we have is below cost at the moment. So that catches up to you after a while when you're selling things at very low margin to no margin just to move products. So just know you hear a lot of stuff on the internet, and I don't blame the consumers at all. If I can get something for, you know, a discount, well, you know, as a consumer, why not? I really feel it in my pocketbook being the owner of the shop. If I'm not making a whole lot of money, I'm not going to go buy the best steaks in the grocery store. I'm going to look for something, you know, at a discount. So, hey, I get it, but also remember what a local bicycle shop does for you, does for your kids' school. You know, we work with a lot of people on, you know, teaching them how to ride bikes, getting kids involved in bikes, helping our neighborhood kids fill up their bike tires with air. We have fielded a lot of calls today, so we haven't had a lot of traffic in the shop, but we've had a lot of phone calls. Most of the phone calls are about e-bikes that people bought online. What was the name of the last name? It was a Happy e-bike? Boy, what a nice name. But you know it's not something that's...
Happy Run or something.
Happy Run e-bike. And I think the guy was kind of rude, you know. And
Not that one, no. That was a different person.
Okay.
He was all right.
Well, the Happy e-bike guy was actually all right. So I wonder what this phone call's all about.
Oh,
we'll see. This is not staged.
Bicycle Works this Alana.
we got a race on up here. Well, I won't bug Alana while she's on the phone because it gets loud in here. But moral of the story is like the bicycle industry, if we don't have a lot of traffic today. Alana's talking about sizes. This is a good sign. So anyway, let me show you how beautiful it is out here. I just had this customer in. He bought his bike. Well, he came in and looked at the shop. And then I guess he probably went to the Trek website and found that he could find it on sale at Trek, and had it shipped to us and had us assemble it. So, you know, I get some margin share for that. So thank you, Trek, for at least, you know, keeping us in the loop. And I thank this customer and his brother and his dad. And we had some commonalities from Brookhaven, Mississippi. So it was cool to talk about Frank Moak and Team Herring Gas and Johnny Smith and the boys up there at the Mount Zion Trail. So, you know, I've been in the bicycle world for a while around here, and you get to know people. So Brookhaven is 60 miles from here, and it's kind of cool knowing some common riders. There's my mechanic Steve's truck, and you can see it's Saturday afternoon. He's built himself up a custom Trek top fuel, and of course Steve loves these Jones bars. It's a custom built for Steve, that he enjoys going out and riding his bike. He's also a new homeowner, so he spent a lot of time this winter, you know, getting his house put together and taken together. So he's looking to get out and start his health and fitness routine. And you guys heard me yesterday talk about, you know, be kind to your bicycle mechanics. If you guys see Steve out at the trail tonight, there's a lot of things in this world you can talk about. You don't always have to talk about how your bike's not working good. It's like a doctor. You don't want to bug a doctor after work and talk about your elbow and your wrist and your thumb and your health problems. Like, let the bicycle mechanic go out there and just ride. We do have some repair work going into next week. A few bikes in for repair. But really, I mean, we were hoping today that we'd get flooded with repairs, and that hasn't been the case. We've had a few pickups. You can see Steve in there. I was just talking about be kind to your bicycle mechanic. Steve is really a kind guy, and if you're out on the trail and you have a problem, Steve's not gonna snub you like I might. But still, let Steve, he loves talking about dogs and animals and plants, and shoot, you even like talking about houses now. So kayaking, I mean, there's so many cool things that Steve loves to talk about. But this is what's kind of going on in the bike shop today. You can see we've got a few repairs stacked up in here, but definitely not enough to keep us busy in the next week. So some of these are waiting on parts. We order parts every Wednesday. So hopefully our parts will come in and we can get a lot of these bikes out, and hopefully, you know, a lot of people try to ride their bikes tomorrow, and I'm not hoping anybody has problems, but inherently, if your bike's been sitting up for a while, the first time you take it down, you usually need a little extra work, and that's what we're here for. So we are happy to work on your bikes, and this is how we keep a bike shop alive, is by doing bike repairs. So bring your bikes into Biloxi Bicycle Works. There's a lot of repairmen out there that want to keep busy this week, and I know my mechanics want to keep busy this week. So here's part of our parts room. We've got a lot of parts in here, and people say, well, geez, why do you always have to order parts? But there are so many different parts for so many different bikes. Like here's basically a department store bike right here that is not going to have the same type of parts that my trainer bike has. You know, so this is a bike shop quality road bike. And if I look around, like there's an older Salvello right there and an older Specialized, different generation components, different frames, you know, a shifter like this that you're going to find on a TT bike is not going to be the same shifter that you find on a road bike. And of course, this shifter does have some cyclocross brakes, and it's not going to be the same shifter that you find on a mountain bike. So just in this room, I can see multiple bikes that need multiple different style parts. You know, there's an e-bike right there. Here's a Cannondale, and like I say, this is a whole different Shimano than the Ultegra we just saw on the other bike. So just know it's hard to stock enough parts for everybody's bike. So we do order parts once a week, and there's a reason. This is a warranty job right there. There's a reason why, you know, sometimes when you take your bike to the bike shop, it might take a week or so to get it back. Because sometimes we can't tell when we put it on the bench. We try to do our best to evaluate the situation, but sometimes you don't know what you're getting into until you actually start working on something. And then you also don't know if bolts are going to break, you know. So people love picking up bikes and saying, wow, this is a lightweight bike. This is an old Sundance Fuji. This is a cool bike. I like these old bikes. But you don't know if you've got a bad shifter or you need to put a new handlebar on. If you try to take that bolt loose, you don't know if it's going to break. I mean, they do make bicycle parts lightweight. And as soon as you have something lightweight, things break pretty easy. So we never try to break anything on purpose. We try to do the opposite. We use a lot of techniques to get frozen bolts and screws and nuts loose, because we know it's hard to replace this stuff. Like this old Scott right here. We don't want to break anything on this bike because you can't replace a lot of these parts. So when we are putting, you know, some lube on a thread or trying to add a little bit of heat or light torque or vibration, man, I had one of these Specialized lights. That's an old light. But there's a reason why this stuff takes time. Time is money, and sometimes it's not the type of thing that you can actually charge a customer for in the long run. Because when they're looking at getting something like this fixed, unless it's you know, something that's very near and dear to their heart, they've kept this bike around because they don't really want to buy a new one. I get it. I mean, these bikes ride really good, but it's hard to find. I mean, this one even has an XT derailleur. Yeah, this was a cool bike.
7-speed.
7-speed. Yeah, I had a 7-speed when I first moved to Biloxi. That old M2 stump jumper I brought with me from Ringling Cycles. shout out to Wriggling Cycles in Bradenton, Florida. Dave, I hope you're still riding bikes, man. You and your sons are very talented. So anyway, guys, this is what's going on a Saturday afternoon. Very, very light traffic in Biloxi, Mississippi today at Biloxi Bicycle Works, and we were expecting the opposite. So just know your local bicycle shop needs you. So get your bikes out of the rafters, get them out of the garage. If you have a loved one that has an old bike that you've seen, hanging in the garage or something, sneak it out of the garage and bring it here. There's a reason they've kept that old bike. It means something to them. So sometimes, you throw away your old rakes and your old tennis shoes and, stuff that's cluttering up the garage, but those old bikes are so hard to get rid of. So believe me, surprise your loved one, bring it to your local bike shop, have it tuned up, cleaned up, washed up, and when you give it back to them, they're not going to say, oh, you shouldn't have. They're going to say, oh gosh, thank you. I've been trying to find the time to do that myself. So before this train comes, just know Biloxi Bicycle Service Department and your local bike shops all want to fix your bikes. Bring them on in. Mark from Bicycle Ride YouTube and Biloxi Bicycle Works. Support your local bike shop. We need it. March 2025.
Over 30 years ago.
Good. Steve and I are just reminiscing. We've both been into bikes for years and years. Steve was talking about going and buying one of his first real bikes in 1993. And I was thinking about, I was living in Fort Collins, Colorado, and actually working for Lee's Cyclery, but there was a bike in Boulder I saw, a Diamondback. We called it the Dirty Booger. I was riding Lori State Park at the time, and it had a green speckled paint job on it. And it was just, man, I love that bike. I went all the way to Boulder and bought that bike. And I ended up getting one of the first Rock Shocks in Fort Collins, Colorado. Had put it on that Diamondback, that Dirty Booger. But we were just looking at these stems. Like this is a good old Ritchie stem. We measured about 150 millimeters. And we're looking at the space between the seat tube and the tire. And nowadays that space is closed up. So bikes have changed a long ways. This is a 7-speed XT derailleur. When I first moved to Biloxi, Mississippi, I was riding a 7-speed XT derailleur on a Stump Jumper M2. And I showed up for a time trial and everybody had these 29-inch wheels. I just thought it was weird. Now I understand it. I don't want to ride anything but a 29. But it's still cool seeing these old bikes. I mean, look at this old Scott Super Evolution. Once again, it's got an XT derailleur on it. Just cool stuff. I mean, we had mountain bikes with no front suspension.
Yeah, your arms were your suspension.
I forget what I paid for that first Rock Shock. There wasn't one in Fort Collins. I had to go to, once again, a bike shop in Boulder, Colorado, and I think that thing was close to $1,000. It had magnesium stanchions on it. Like it was a cool, and I flew down the trail, or the Horsetooth Trail that we used to. I mean, that's where I fell in love with mountain biking, was on a Trek Antelope.
Okay.
Yeah, and I remember it. And my buddy Chris Etheridge, rest in peace, brother. You painted that thing red, gold, and green Rasta colors for me, and we went up to Horsetooth Reservoir, and I bombed the hill, and I was hooked. So here I am, 54. I don't know. 35, 37 years later, still hooked on bikes. So it's cool reminiscing with you, Steve, because you and I have been around bikes, and we've got a love for bikes that's way beyond the normal. Like, look at the way the cable was routed back here.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Now everything's internal cable routed.
Mm-hmm.
This was so easy to change a cable. And back in the day, that probably wasn't the best design, but hey, it worked, and it's still working for this customer.
Mm-hmm.
So who's to say what's better? I know a lot of people on my YouTube channel say, just buy an old bike like this and they'll go forever. And you're correct, but I do like modern bikes too. I'm going to take you out and show you Steve's bike. Steve once again, Steve loves bikes. So Steve gets an employee discount just like I do from Trek for taking all the courses. And Steve bought this as a frame because he likes leaving he likes having a tower here. And he loves the Jones bars. But look, he's bought the Fox 34 step cast. Of course, Steve likes bigger wheels. Steve's a fat bike guy. But this is a 29 2.6. And Steve is an aficionado. Like, Steve goes out there, he loves riding his bike. And he built a bike that's made just for him the way he wants to ride it. So I like to see Steve's equipment. And I like to, you know, after working all week, Steve's gonna go ride for hours this evening out on the mountain bike trail. He's actually bringing lights. He'll go past dark. And he loves bikes. So when I tell people be kind to your bicycle mechanic, and when you see him out on the trail, maybe don't always talk about what's wrong with your bike. You know, I want Steve to enjoy his ride, and Steve's a nice enough guy. He will talk bike mechanics with you, but believe me, he just did 40 plus hard hours in the bike shop. He wants to talk about Mother Nature, or kayaking, food, dogs, cats, plants, home ownership. You know, there's a lot of cool things that you can talk about with your bike mechanic other than just the problems on your bike. If you're a local doctor or a physician, you know, you don't want people coming up to you every time you're in a restaurant and telling you about how their wrist hurts, or, you know, how they, you know, just be kind. You know, the architect doesn't want to talk about building all the time. So just know we love bikes, but we also want a little peace of mind. So anyway, this is what's happening at Biloxi Bike Works on a Saturday afternoon. It's way more quiet than we want it to be, especially with the weather being nice. So support your local bike shop, because your local bike shop loves supporting you. We love what we do, but we need to have some revenue come in the shop just so we can stay alive. So anyway, Bart from Biloxi Bicycle Works, reminiscing about cool bikes and getting ready to walk in the shop here. Before I close down the camera, I'll introduce, well, you guys, I don't have to introduce you to the two rock stars in here. Of course, you got Pete and you got Alana.
We're talking history.
Yeah, we were just talking bike history next door. There's so much cool stuff. And I was just kind of blending like some old mountain bike technology, and then I went and showed Steve's new bike.
Oh yeah.
You know, and Steve loved custom. You guys, you know, if you watch my channel, you'll see this is my new bike. I actually get to go ride it tomorrow. So my bike's stock. You know, I'm gonna kind of just ride it stock and see how it goes. But it is kind of cool, seeing what bike shop guys do to their bike. Here, like, I'll show you something weird that Pete did to his bike, but for a reason. He just wasn't happy with his seat, you know. So Pete got it. Once again, Pete gets an EP discount. So Pete got this really cool Trek FX6 carbon fiber bike, carbon fiber wheel. It's a really hot hybrid. But look, he made his own seat. He just wasn't happy, and of course Pete can pretty much have any seat he wants. He gets an employee discount, so he doesn't have to pay full retail, and he deserves it. He works in a bike shop. But even though Pete still custom made his own seat, so just know us bicycle people are weird, and we don't mind sharing our weirdness with you. Look, I'm weird. I own a bike shop, and this is what I ride back and forth to work, a hybrid bike with a bell. And yes, I'll go try to rip your legs off on a road bike over the weekend, but I don't know. Hey, this is something new from Trek Ride Club. We kind of do it already, but I don't know if that's going to be more work for me or not. Anyway, Bart from Biloxi Bicycle Works right here in downtown Biloxi, Mississippi. Come in and see us. I can't believe it's so quiet this Saturday that I had time to make a video. It's kind of scary. But I get to go ride my bike tomorrow with a bunch of fun people. So we'll finish on a positive note.